Trump Tower. Have you seen Batman Returns? Yeah, that was Bruce Wayne Enterprise, Bruce Wayne's headquarters right there. Has anyone seen the movie The Hunted? Was over there to the left. That is Buckingham Fountain, done by Edward Bennett, 1927. It is pumping 14,000 gallons of water a minute, and it shoots 150 feet up into the air when it doesn't pack shit up in the air. Also, there's a light show and classical music that plays here tonight, if you want to come see this. What else you got in town? So this is something to do at night, you know, come around the fountain here. Also, you got Buddy Guy's Club, you got State Street and Hubbard Street has a cool Howl at the Moon, and Andy's Jazz Club, and a whole bunch of cool places. Kingston Mines, probably the most respectable jazz outfit in Chicago, is a little bit north of here, or north of here. And but why go to any of those places when you got me right here? Public service is my motto. He said, when I sell booze, they call it bootlegging. When my patrons serve it on silver trays along Lakeshore Drive, they call it hospitality. Here's the Hancock Tower. This is the 4th tallest building in Chicago. It was done by the architect Bruce Graham and Fosler Kahn in 1969. Kind of important to remember that these two, the same architect and engineer, Bruce Graham and Fosler Kahn, did this building here in 1969. They did the Willis/Sears Tower in 1973, and it showcases two architectural innovations to come out of Chicago. One, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe came up with a glass curtain, a solid wall of glass. I was an ugly kid. Every time I played in the sandbox, a cat tried to cover me up. A lot of kids have invisible friends. I had 2 invisible friends. Yeah, they played with each other. Shia LaBeouf from Transformers 3, right there. Woo! And there's the walnut room. You can still get it's still in there. You can still get the original chicken pot pie from 1880. Yeah, it's a little stale though. It's a little tough. It was so hot in Chicago today, I saw Charlie Sheen on Michigan Avenue earlier on today. Charlie Sheen snorting ice chips to cool off. It was so hot in Chicago today, I heard a tree whistle for a dog. It's the Pritzker Pavilion over there. That's a Frank Gehry Amphitheater. He teamed up with Denkmar Adler to do the world's first nearly perfect acoustic theater. Whiz, cheese in an aerosol can. That got its start right here in Chicago. Winky started right here in Chicago. Yep. Diabetes started right here in Chicago. Protesters gathered over here in Grant Park for the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Now they decided to move in on the Hilton. But one thing, the policeman is not here to create disorder. The policeman is here to preserve disorder. When it was built, it was the biggest building in the world and the tallest in North America, to let you know how standards have changed. But this is that theater I was talking about, the Chicago Fire, and less than 20 years later, we rebuilt. We were bigger and better than ever, and we were in competition with New York to host this Columbian Expo, this World's Fair. New York assumed they got it. They even spent $100,000 on advertising in 1893 money, and they didn't get it. So Charles Dana from the New York Sun, bitter, comes out to Chicago just before the Expo. Saturday? There's no T-sound. You're in Chicago now. It's Saturday. Let me check my calendar. I don't know if I can go to rally in the alley on Saturday. I had a glass of wine and a salad on Saturday. That's from Los Angeles. You say all kinds of ridiculous things like, I can do and stuff. Good. Let's try that. I can do and stuff. I can do and stuff. Say good. Say good. Okay, and good for you, and things like that. But after 5 years of living here, and now I do catch myself saying, Bears play. Almost timed that one out. Where'd the Bears play? Now, that's Soldier Field, but a lot of people say Soldiers Field here in Chicago. There is no S at the end of Soldier Field, but people say Soldiers Field. Then people will pluralize grocery stores out here, too, like I'm going to the Jewels. You want to come with? Couldn't find parking at the Walmart. Hey, you want to go to Target's? And I guess because we have local chains like Dominic's that have an S at the end of it, so we just add S's to the end of everything else. And then Illinois, of course, we say Illinois, not Illinois. 8 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. It's 300 feet deep on average, over 900 feet out by Green Bay, Wisconsin, where the Edmund Fitzgerald used to sail out of. Oh, you're from Michigan? Right there? You know, if you don't know, Michigan is a state shaped like a glove. So, sir, where on the glove are you from? That building and drop it at the deepest point in Lake Michigan, it would still stick above the surface by a good 500 feet. Also, there's 500 feet of that building that's below ground. So 1/3 of a skyscraper's total height is below ground. Of course, the first skyscraper in the world was right here in Chicago, the Home Insurance Building, 1885. And the red C&A building there to the left, when it was built in the 1970s, the city said it was too gaudy and garish for the Chicago skyline. Told them to change the color. At first they refused. The city threatened to raise their property taxes, so they agreed. They signed some documents, some paperwork saying they would change the color, but in those documents, it did not say which color they had to change it to, so they just changed it to a different, even brighter, more obnoxious shade of red. So. For $100 in the morning, sell it for several $1,000s the very same day that you bought it. So William Butler Ogden, he sent his brother-in-law out here to look at some real estate. His brother-in-law bought this piece of property without consulting William Butler Ogden first, with William Butler Ogden's money. Furious, able to wrestle it away from him. It was everything from that street we just turned onto there to the Hancock, east of Michigan Avenue. At one point was all the free district of Lake Michigan, and even turned his boat still lodged on the sandbar that entire time into City Hall. He just built up on top of it. Completely with the 1 and the 2 and the bubble machine broadcast, the mastermind of that whole thing. He was shot himself outside of a Milwaukee Avenue bowling alley, St. Valentine's Day, 1936. And there was a comic Valentine dropped on his body moments after he was shot. It read, "You've lost your job, you've lost your dough, your jewels and fancy houses, but things could be worse, you know. You haven't lost your trousers."